Hey, what's up guys? Tuki here, back again with another episode of Nation United, featuring Team Canada, based on Kaiserslautern in the Bundesliga. That's the official title. Take it to the bank. We are currently 6th in the league in our first season in the Bundesliga as of February 1st, 2022. We have just passed the January transfer window, in which we, of course, made a bit of a splash getting Kyle Larin, which is tremendous news for us to pair up top with Jonathan David. Of course, we have acquired Alphonso Davies. The squad is looking pretty damn good, if I do say so myself. However, we have a couple of things to get to. First and foremost, I accidentally deleted the email for Canada. The good thing is it's here, so we'll accept that. Don't worry. We're back with Canada. Yeah, so we're good. We're still managing Canada. Thank you guys for catching that, though. I could have easily forgotten. The other thing that I wanted to bring up, it was brought up, of course, that Cavallini could sign for a free. Don't think we have the money at this point to sign him over how I handled the Kyle Larin situation. I could have handled those negotiations a little bit better, or just delegated. You know, again, I have no excuse for it. I have no excuse for it. To me, it was just tunnel vision. Like, holy shit, I can get Larin. I'm going for him. And that was it. I didn't care how I handled it because, again, he's kind of the last big player that we can get. We're getting Piet on a free as it is. But the good thing is Cavallini hasn't signed anywhere just yet. So I do wonder if it's going to still let me sign him. And if not, as we approach the end of the year, once we get the money for finishing wherever we do in the Bundesliga, there is a decent little chance that we're going to be okay and still be able to make this work. So I'm just going to delegate that, and we'll keep an eye on Cavallini as we move forward and see if we can get that to work out for us. Now, the road ahead, to take a quick look, because I think we're going to be live for the majority of this episode, if not all of it. Werder Bremen, Nuremberg, Schalke, and Frankfurt. Winnable games? Yes. Compared to some of the other higher levels of competition that reside within the Bundesliga, those are games that we are going to have to win if we want a chance to finish in a top 4 or a top 6 spot this season, which, again, so far in this series. And to answer the question of like, oh, do you plan on continuing this until you win? Yeah, I do. But, oh God, excuse me. So far in this series, it has been this team constantly overperforming and reaching certain milestones before I would have expected them to, or before they were expected to in general. And finishing in a Europa League spot, let alone a Champions League spot this early, would be simply outrageous. Simply outrageous, and much, you know, to accomplish that this quickly, it would be more than I ever could have expected for this team. That's really the only way to phrase it. They would be overachieving to a ridiculous extent. So we'll see what happens here with the Cavallini negotiations. We are, of course, back with Team Canada as well, and we'll see what happens there. For now, formation-wise, we're going to stick with the old Christmas tree. If it starts to kind of, sputter out a little bit, we'll move Jonathan David back up to a striker role rather than being in the cam role, although I believe he did score in the last game that we played with this formation. And we'll see what a 2-striker set does for us. Let's sim this game against Werder Bremen. 2-0 loss. Davies scores, but Josh Sargent, the U.S. international, gets the difference-making goal. As Atiba Hutchinson not happy, but again, he'll be retiring at the end of the year. And we'll see. I might even change the formation after that. That's a pretty disappointing loss. We dropped a little bit in the league standings. Nothing too ridiculous. But yeah, we're gonna want to potentially make changes. I'm not happy with that. It's really more of a sign of defensive issues losing 2-1, but yeah, I'm I'm a little bit disappointed in that result. So 2 strikers set, while still having the wing options. I mean, pretty much it's the 4-1-2-1-2. I mean, Laren and David, Osorio, Davies, Clark, and Kay. It's perfect. We'll go with that and see how well that works for us in this next game. I believe it was against Nuremberg, who, again, last we knew were dead last. Reach an impasse with Cavallini, which is fine. Again, we don't have to sign him because the money we're going to get for him, we don't have any other Canadians to spend it on. So it's not the biggest deal in the world, but having him as a depth option would be great in the meantime. Nuremberg are in the drop zone right now, the automatic drop zone. So they are in desperate need of a win, and hopefully we can deny them of that. Of course, we had to beat them to even gain promotion this year. Let's see what happens. It's a 1-1 draw. Jonathan Davies scored in the 80th minute, but they tie it 3 minutes later to snag a point, and that is not a hot start to this episode for us, as White makes it up to a 70. Peter Gagnon breaks the 80 overall mark. You also have Cooper making it up to a 72. Again, we'll be continuing to focus on him. At this rate, he's going to be the starter heading into next season, as Daniil Henry's not happy. But again, that's fine. If these real players aren't happy, they can move on at the end of this year because we have the depth to take over. Now, Schalke is a somewhat tough matchup, and in fairness to Werder Bremen, currently in 9th, they're fairly tough as well. My point was that they're not a Dortmund, they're not a Bayern. As it is, RB Leipzig and Hoffenheim are the top 2 teams in the table right now, which is fairly surprising. But we'll see if the change in formation can lead us to victory over Schalke. Hopefully it does. Get our first win of the episode out of the way. They score 4 minutes in. It's brutal. They still have Fireman in goal, too. Let's sim the rest of this. Oh, my God. So not much is going our way to start this episode. 3-1 victory to Schalke. A draw and 2 losses. We are back into 10th. Not the end of the world in terms of like, oh, well, there goes our chance for a top 5 finish, but far, far, far from ideal, I think is how we'll phrase it. Let's focus on dribbling because I want to get the stamina up, of course, for a lot of our guys. Is there anybody else who's close to leveling up again, for lack of a better term? Let's focus on Olsen, just to try and get him up to a 73 a little bit sooner, and he will make it to a 73 thanks to his attack position going up. So I'm not sure what it's going to take. I think we'll explore other formations here, see if we can find one that works for us, but so far the dual striker threat not exactly working out for us. Maybe we'll move David back into more of a center forward role, as we have a pretty big game here against Frankfurt where I would absolutely prefer to win. It actually moved K off to the right. That freaking horrific glitch. You gotta love it. Maybe the 4-4-1-1. That's what I'm thinking. Although, let's get the one, the 4-4-1-1 attack. And that looks good. We'll see if that works for us. No guarantees. But, of course, we're still rolling with our best team available. In theory, they should be able to get some wins. So let's move Davies back out to the left. That was the only weird turnaround thing I did to the lineup. I hate that it still does that. Well, let's play Frankfurt. They're currently in 12th. Of course, we're back into 10th right now. They've lost their last 3 matches, but it's a road game for us. And what was viewed as a fairly opportunistic month for us has turned into a nightmare. But if we can snag a win here, as they do get the first goal of the game, if we can snag a win here, it'll be a decent little turnaround. But we lose 2-1. Wow. Who is this team, and what have you done with Kaiserslautern? Like, what is happening? Just a nightmare start. Again, 4 very winnable games. And we walk away with 1 point out of the 4. Just an absolute nightmare for us there. No other way around it. That is a devastatingly disappointing performance, which could ultimately cost us this season. again, we're far back enough that we're not really in danger. It would be astonishing if we somehow ended up in danger of being relegated. But we're throwing away a decent opportunity here to have this be an extremely memorable season. As we get our next youth scouting report back, Cooper was okay. Brian Clark's okay, but Wayne Michaels is the only guy that I'm going to sign. We'll reject the rest. And you got to figure, too, the lower finish we have, the less money we get back, the less likely it is that we're able to bring in Cavallini on a free. So, we really need to see something here from this team. I don't necessarily know what the answer is. We'll leave it as is for now. But actually, you know what we'll do? We'll switch to a 4-3-3. We'll go 4-3-3 attack. So similar to what we're already doing, but let's get Davies and Clark a little bit further up there. And hopefully that generates just a little bit more offense. And of course we're going to have to fix this again because this game sucks in certain ways. And this is certainly one of them. There we go. We desperately need to win. I didn't even see who the hell we're playing next. Oh, good, it's Bayern. Well, a draw here would be nice. They are in horrible form. It's a home game. Maybe we can pull off a miracle, although, well, Kyle Aaron scored 7 minutes in. They have Neuer in, Lewandowski, who just scored, Kingsley Coman's in. This is a rough game for us. Let's sim the rest. Lewandowski misses a pen in the 84th minute. That allows us to at least walk away with a point. We are still winless in this episode, but still within striking distance of Cologne. They're only 7 points ahead. There is still absolutely a chance for us to finish top 6, top 5 even, but we need to turn it on. We need that good result against Bayern to be the catalyst to really help turn this around here down the stretch over the last 2 months here of the season. And so we'll be playing Leverkusen and Dortmund within a few days of one another, which certainly isn't going to help. And what I'm going to do, by the way, it's the 12th. I'm going to wait to scout. I want to get that back on the 1st of the month because that's normally the better time. So we're going to hold off on scouting for now. Not to mention money-wise, it's a little bit rough. So we're going to hold off on resetting the scout. We will let the team roll as is. Let's see what we can do against Leverkusen on the road. They are also in terrible form. We need a win. Bellarabi scores 3 minutes in. They have Divock Origi up top. Demirbay, it's a decent team. 3-2-1. And it's another draw. Delaney's red card definitely played a factor as we scored immediately after Clark gets the goal. But it's another draw. Still winless in this episode. Draws aren't going to do much for us. We're in 8th. We need wins. So desperately do we need wins. And I just don't know how we're going to get them. I don't know if it's a formation change or what's happening. It almost feels like the Kyle Larin addition has disrupted this team's run of form. Josh Haver's not bad, but we are going to cut Frazier. I was trying to see if there's anybody else where it's like, yes, clearly get rid of them. Wayne Michaels looks like he's going to be a stud, though, with that higher rating. So, for now, let's just keep the focus on who we already have signed rather than anybody in the academy. And I think, again, we'll get Cooper in there. Let's take out Cameron. And I don't think anyone else is really close to going up a level. At least it's worth training. So we will put the focus back on Ethan Wolf, who we want to be our primary center back for the future, despite his height deficiency. And fullback-wise, let's continue to train up Mathis. Get him to that higher level. With him, of course, replacing Coutinho as the full-time right back in the last episode. So let's see how this goes. Formation change-wise, I'm not sure. It'll depend, I think, primarily on the fitness levels of our starters here, as Daniil Henry has apparently had enough and wants out, which is fine. You can leave at the end of the season. Yeah, our team's going to be tired, but we pretty much got no choice but to run with it. Weren't we running the 4-2-3-1 before? Let's try that. Like, I am just looking for any formation right now that's going to see us actually start scoring goals a little bit more consistently, like we should be able to do. Because there's no denying we should be able to score more than a goal here and there per game. It's Dortmund. They are in 7th, 9 points clear of us. We're now 10 points back of Borussia Mönchengladbach, who are in 6th. Unless we get a win here against Dortmund, our chances of finishing top 6 and battling for that Europa League spot, very, very unlikely. They have a good team. Mario Götze is still there, Marco Reus, and Jadon Sancho, who scores 20 minutes in, lets sim the rest, and we get just kicked aside. Just... That was big brother against little brother. They just patted us on the head and said, go on, get out of here, scamp. There are levels to this, and we are not on that level. An absolute nightmare for us, as we've crashed back down to reality in this episode, unfortunately. Still, a good run from us in the league this season. We will finish mid-table, but just not the results that I was hoping to see, of course. And I have to wonder, is there really any way here? I don't think we were ever running the 4-2-2 or 4-2-2. Let's just go with the basic 4-4-2. Like, I'm just trying, again, there really isn't the whole chemistry system of like, oh, well, play this. Although we were doing well with 2 CDMs in the past. So, I don't know. Maybe getting... Then again, we just had a formation with 2 CDMs. It didn't work out too well for us. So, you know what? Let's just go with something simple, standard, like the 4-4-2. I'm going to have to make that change again, aren't I? Of course I am, because, again, this game sucks tremendously. But we'll see how that goes for us. Hopefully this team can get a win as we play Wolfsburg, who were up there. They're in pretty good form. It's going to be a rough game for us, but we need a win, and we don't get it. Trossard, 2 penalty goals. And this has by far been the worst episode of this series. In terms of results, this has been a nightmare. An absolute nightmare. We'll probably focus on, I guess, let's focus on Wilson and Cameron. Wow, I can't believe how bad this has been. Started this episode with quite a bit of optimism, really. I mean, we've been doing well. Maybe it wasn't a fluke, but it's kind of feeling like a little bit of a fluke at this point, isn't it? That is an extremely loud vehicle outside. We're gonna jump cut that until that person drives away. Alright, if you can still hear the truck in the background, it's because our neighbor's a complete twat and still hasn't moved. But that's okay. I'm getting tired of waiting. Anyway, sim the 2 international friendlies we had with Canada, that's fine. Brian Park wants out of the youth academy. We should go ahead and take a look to see if he is even worth signing. We'll sign him for now. He's not great, but still useful to us. Loan him out, get a little bit of money out of it. I'm not against it. I'll take it. Let's take a look at him at the very least. He is 3-star, 4-star, high, medium. That's decent for a really more of an ideal cam. It's not too bad. Again, with this potential, it's not that bad, but obviously we're aiming a little bit higher than what we have there. By the way, we won both of those international friendlies, I think by a combined score of 7-0. We just absolutely killed it, which is nice. It was Turkey and I think Peru? We'll take a look, even though it's really not all that important. Indeed, Turkey 4-0, Peru 3-0. Absolutely crushed it. So, getting back to the main task at hand, as Josh Haber, or Haber, I'm going to go with Haber, also wants out. We'll look to sign him, and then we'll try to get another scouting option set up. So Haber, same thing. He's not great, but we'll sign him for now. That will at least be some money in the future and will help us keep some players if they get to be stupidly expensive. He is 3-star, high-low. Easy for me to say. But we'll sign him and immediately set him up to go out on loan. Our next game here is against, I believe, Mines. Colin James also wants out of the youth academy. And we'll see what we're dealing with there. Colin James is absolutely going to be signed, of course. Another 5'11" center back. It's kind of crazy how many smaller center backs we've seen as of late. And we'll go ahead, set him up to more than likely go out on loan this upcoming season. 2-star, 3-star, low medium, not bad for Colin James, who in the meantime will probably look to train up. And let's go ahead and get to what will be April 1st here, or the 2nd. It'll end up being the 2nd, as we will indeed play Mines. We're currently in 10th. We're back into 12th. At this point, I am going to punch my neighbor in the mouth. At this point, what I was going to do is set up the youth academy. We need to start winning games, as I'm actually not going to scout anybody specifically here, but we need to obviously start winning games, because the whole mid-table finish, I'm not sure what the game's going to define as mid-table, so being back into 12th isn't ideal for us. We need something to happen here. Now, I gotta be honest, I'm almost tempted to sub people out because this entire team is in such poor form. I wonder if maybe some fresh faces in the lineup is what we need. We'll give it one more go with this team as it stands, but we need a result here. It's another home game. Mines are in terrible form. Tell me if you've heard that before. This needs to be a win, and it is, thank God. 2 goals for Kyle Laren. A 2-0 victory is in the bag. And we have, I think, our first win of the episode, if not just our second. That brings us back up into 8th in the league table. So let's get Wilson, White, and Cameron out of there. And I want to focus on getting James into a useful spot, especially with Daniel Henry wanting to leave at the end of this season. So center back wise, it could get a little bit rough in terms of our depth at that position, but I think we should be okay with Mandrakar, James, Wolf, and then the other James, who will hopefully eventually replace him. Of course, Cooper's still being trained. Let's try to get Cameron up to a 72. I think that'll be the best way to approach, is just try to get guys up to that next level if they're close to getting there. And then obviously it'll just be Cooper and James. Those are the 2 focused upon players for the foreseeable future. What emails do we have here? We already get a loan offer for Josh Haber, which will be good to see him get some time elsewhere. And we'll go ahead and drop all of that. Strythe is pissed. Henry's pissed. That's fine. Of course, both of them can leave at the end of the year. Matter of fact, I don't even know if I'm allowed to set Strythe to leave, but Daniel Henry, I'll add you to the transfer list. And I still can't add Adam Strythe to the transfer list, but obviously he was just a depth signing for this season. Anyway, up next for Kaiserslautern, as we also get a loan offer for Park from a Turkish club. We'll see if that goes through. Next up for Kaiserslautern, it is Cologne. They are 1 spot ahead of us in the league table. This is a crucial game for us if we want to keep the dream alive, as we have, I believe, just 10 games left this season. We get a transfer offer for Daniel Henry from Rhymes, I guess it would be. I've never known how to pronounce that correctly. Let's delegate. And shit, I hit negotiate. All right, well, we're in it now. We are in it now. I would like 3.25, thank you. What do you say to that? How about you up that offer a little bit? Perfect. Well, I honestly was wondering if I should have gone a little bit higher, but we're going to get Daniel Henry for overvalue. He gets what or sell Daniel Henry for overvalue. He gets what he wants. He gets to leave. Everybody's happy. Cologne are up into 7th. We're still in 9th. They're 8 points ahead of us. This would be a major point swing here if we can get it. Again, tell me if you heard this one before. Home game. The team we're facing is in bad form. They still have Timo Horn between the sticks, though. Let's sim the rest of it. 3, 2, 1. It's a draw. Osorio, a minute after they scored. It's nice to still get the point, but that's a massive missed opportunity for us to try and catch them. We get another offer for Daniil Henry as a loan move was successful. And we will go with that right there. If they want Henry, they're going to have to pay at this point. So that sees us back into 10th in the league, which is okay, but not ideal, as Cameron makes it up to a 72 overall, our backup left back, who I don't anticipate will ever jump Peter Gagnon, but you never know. Let's see what we're looking at here. Who's next on the weekend? As Park's been loaned out, the deal for Henry fell apart, at least from the Argentinian club. The deal, but the French team might still go through. It is Stuttgart up next, as James has been loaned out. And we have quite a few emails that we're going to have to get to here. Let's see how it goes. Daniil Henry will be off to France. So a decent move for us there, but he was replaced this season by Wolf. The other Wolf will be back from loan next season. Stuttgart currently just above the drop zone. Fun fact, we're only 4 points clear of the drop zone. That scares me. I mean, we're 10 points behind Dortmund now. We need to start getting results. This has been a nightmare in this episode in terms of success. It could get worse. Oh, we need to beat Stuttgart. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. We need to start getting wins here. And we lose 2-1 to the team just above the drop zone. We are legitimately in trouble. This team has been underperforming for the entire episode, and it's now getting, as I meant to take out Cameron, but whatever, it's now getting to a dangerous level. It really is. We need to be better than this. And I thought when we bought Kyle Larin, it would only make the team better, but it has apparently just completely disrupted any momentum that we've had. And this is just a nightmare. We'll be playing Dusseldorf coming up. But just, wow. What a nearly unthinkable situation. We have 4 games left this season. Dusseldorf, Leipzig, Hoffenheim, and Borussia Mönchengladbach. The latter 3 have been towards the top of the table for the entire season. We could see ourselves in the drop zone. We theoretically could. As much of a nightmare as that would be. So in terms of the team, I honestly don't know what I want to do here. I genuinely don't. Davies and Clark have both been so bad that we might just go with a really narrow formation. Maybe a 4-1-2-1-2. Maybe a 4-3-2-1 to just try and strengthen the midfield. You know, I think we'll go with the 4-1-2-1-2. David hasn't been in poor form, but he hasn't been great. That means that we're going to be getting Scott Arfield and White into this lineup. We'll have Kay as the CDM. And I think that'll be the setup with Davies, Clark, and Wilson on the bench. Although, I hate to tell you, Wilson, but you're going to be pissed about that. Let's get Atiba Hutchison there. And, I mean, God, the center backs are all just in poor form. Let's get Daniil Henry in there. We're going to sit Peter Gagnon. We're going to start Cooper for the first time. And we'll leave it at that for now. You know what? Even James has been in poor form. Desperate times call for desperate measures. That'll be the bench. We'll see what happens. Out of pure desperation, Daniil Henry can actually play right back. So, you know, I really don't want to play a 62 overall. But screw it. Let's get some fresh faces in there. We'll see what they can do. what's the worst that happens? We continue to sit here and underperform? We've already seen the worst case scenario. That's been happening for the entire episode. So let's see if these fresh faces can help lead us to victory here. Again, if we lose, it's not looking too good for us. We still have some strong options up top, and White scores 5 minutes in. So talk about making an impression and making an impact. We immediately have one of the fresh faces that joined this lineup put up a goal. And he gets another one at halftime. 2 goals for White. Let's sim the rest. Those were the only 2 goals of the game. White delivers on his opportunity. We get a crucial win that sees us secure 10th at this point with 3 games left this season. Let's take out Cameron. In terms of training, I mean, Jesus, how could we not focus on White, right? But let's go for Wolf to get him up to a 75. I think that'll be for the best. And we'll see now in terms of who's in form before we figure out who's going to play this next game against Leipzig. Because it's a little bit easier against Dusseldorf to throw out that kind of mishmash team. I don't know if I'm ballsy to do it against Leipzig, who again have been towards the top. I hope that wasn't the way the team was actually structured the last game. Oh my god. Yeah, it's a little bit more risky to do something like that for this next one. So I mean, White and Kay are in good form. Henry's in good form. Streith not so much. So we will bring Mathis back in. Cooper's going to stay. I think just in general that defense right now is fine where it is. Offensively it's fine. Midfield-wise, I mean, unless I wanted to work Alphonso Davies back in. But I think we're just going to go off of who's in form. We might as well. It's led us to a rare victory in this episode. The only difference is bringing Mathis back in at right back and moving the soon-to-be departing Daniel Henry back to center back. So this is a major risk. We are currently on 38 points. Dusseldorf and 29 are projected to be, or at least would currently be, in the promotion relegation game. Top 6 is out of the question, so now it's just trying to get as high of a finish as we can. But unfortunately, we've pissed away an opportunity at a tremendous return to the Bundesliga. But still, solidifying, getting mid-table would be tremendous. Unfortunately, this Leipzig team looks pretty damn good. I think it's Eric Bailly there at center back, and Andre Kamarich was able to score fairly quickly. Kevin Kompel adds another one. 3-0. The final. Leipzig rip us to shreds, as the top teams for the most part this season in the Bundesliga have done. That sees us down to 11th. Still considered mid-table, though, from the looks of it. Let's get Victor Olsen up to the next rating. We'll focus on keep up the pace just to try and get that stamina up there. Just, of course, with the way stamina works in this game in terms of training. So a mid-table finish is likely. So we get our youth squad report. Anthony Wilson also apparently wants out, but more than likely we'll just send him out on loan to appease him. I don't want to sell him yet, but he's never going to replace Alphonso Davies. So we'll add him to the loan list. Let him go out. He's a strong player for sure, but until the club gets bigger and we can tell these guys, like, oh yeah, hey, you're actually a depth option, we're in trouble. We play Hoffenheim next. Wins would still be greatly appreciated. Adam Banks, I mean, just for the Mighty Ducks, we have to sign Adam Banks, right? Gets another goalie into the system. And I believe we are indeed in an Olympic year. So this summer will be nice. We'll have the Olympic year, the World Cup year with the Canadians. Also an Olympic year, for that matter. Which is pretty crazy. But we'll see what happens here against Hoffenheim. Let's reset the team. Boosty and Cooper both in bad form, so we'll just go with Boosty. Cameron's kind of meh. Let's go back to the best version of the team that we can build, and we'll hope that we can get some results. So midfield-wise, you have our field now down to a 69 as well. Let's go back to the 4-3-3 attack. It'll be Laren up top, next to Jonathan David. We'll have White and Kay in the midfield. Let's get Alfonso Davies and Clark back into the mix. And then the midfield, let's go with those three, with Hutchison in our field amongst the reserves. That'll be the team for this next game. Again, 2 games left, I believe, this season, if I am not mistaken. And every point is going to factor in to our final standings. But again, can't help but be overly disappointed. We let a major opportunity to finish top 6 in a Europa League spot go to waste in our return season. Bittencourt scores 3 minutes in, and we end up losing 3-1 to Hoffenheim. Tremendously disappointing. Like, just was it a fluke? How good and or bad are we, actually? Were the results that we got at the beginning of the season to be in 6th place at the beginning of this episode just a mere 40 minutes ago? Was that a fluke? Where does this team actually stand? I just don't know. And it's incredibly frustrating. But we are upcoming to our final game of the season against Borussia Mönchengladbach. And we'll see what the situation is here. Indeed, it is our final game of the season. Standings-wise, we are safe from the drop zone, but can only finish as high as 10th, which is the mid-table finish we were hoping for at the beginning of the season, but not what we thought to be possible by the midway point, as Leipzig have already secured themselves a title. K will be sitting out, and I think for obvious reasons, Atiba Hutchinson will be in. It's his final game. Unfortunately, we'll hand him the captain's armband, and we will hopefully be able to send off a Canadian legend in style with a win against Borussia Mönchengladbach, however unlikely that may be. And they scored 7 minutes in, 3-1. It's a 3-0 win, or a 3-0 loss. I wish it was a 3-0 win. I was going to say a 3-0 win for Borussia Mönchengladbach. We finish 11th, which again, at the beginning of the season, I would have been fine with. By the end of it, it's just ultimately disappointing. It's not as bad as having to fight off relegation or being outright relegated, but it really was a tale of two halves. However, we still took home nearly $48 million as a result of our successes this season. And I mean, in terms of how that will outright affect the budget, we'll see in due time. But yeah, a success, no doubt. Although it will feel like a disappointment, as we will be selecting the squad for the Olympic team. So we're going to bring Cooper. And I don't know how many games we're going to play here, but we are absolutely going to have to pay attention to the World Cup. It's the World Goddamn Cup. So Wolf, James, and Henry, that's fine by me. Right backs of Mathis and Godinho. That's fine by me, so our defense is set. Of course, I don't know what formation I want to run, but if we look at strikers, I think we're only going to need 3 strikers. I mean, 4 makes sense, though. So Olsen's going to be in over Millar, so we're set there. And then in terms of right options, we have Clark and Beija, which makes sense to me. Unless there's someone I'm missing. Cunningham, huh? Nope, so we're good on that front. And then on the left-hand side, we have Balou Tabla and Alfonso Davies, which is great. Although, as much as I love Balou, I really do want to bring Wilson, but man, bringing Baloo Tabla with us would be great. I think we will. Let's take out Fraze. We're going to bring Wilson. And then for the midfield, we have Piet, we have Kay, we have Osorio, and I think we're going to bring Scott Arfield. Although White is available, and I kind of want to go with the youngster White. Or do I go with Scott Arfield, the veteran? It'll be his last chance at a World Cup. Oh, Tiba Hutchinson's there too. I don't know if he's technically going to retire before it ends. I don't want to glitch out the game. So I'm not going to bring Hutchinson. I'm going to bring White. I'm sorry, Arfield, but it's you or Tabla, and I'm going with Baloo. So that is going to be the Canadian contingent to the 2022 World Cup that we will absolutely begin to focus on in the next episode. For now, let's move forward a little bit further. I actually don't know if that money's going to go in time for us to be able to approach Cavallini, but perhaps he'll be a free agent. But we might as well get right up to the point where the World Cup is starting. Again, finishing 11th in here. We'll actually do a season recap here, as Kenneth Mathis wants out, so we'll pay attention to the Youth Academy for the moment. Let's see how good Kenneth Mathis is. The answer is decent enough. We'll sign him. And in terms of who we have here, Jordan White's okay, Kerr's okay, Gibbs is fine, Sullivan's looking pretty good, Bliska and Banks are fine. The other Banks is kind of garbage. We're going to be letting go of him. Jordan Wood, we're just going to sign now because he's going to want to sign. We're just going to sign Wayne Michaels now. And Frazier can stay. So we'll sign those guys and try to get them out on loan as soon as possible. And taking a look at the squad hub now. So moving forward, the game plan is to probably try to sell Boosty. More than likely. Again, though, here's the thing. We don't have any other Canadians that we can really look to target. It's just now going with the best choice and trying to acquire as much money as possible in case there somehow ends up being a superstar that we don't develop. But needless to say, we could recruit a decent amount of money by selling Boosty. Cooper's pretty much going to be ready to go. I think we'll sort that out later. But yeah, there's some frustrating moments here. The problem is Boosty did not have a good season. He just didn't. He's up by 1, but he really didn't have a good season. Colin Wilson's up by 7. Joseph Gagnon up by 3. Cooper, of course, up by 9, with him, mainly being the focus of what we did here. So I don't know, man. Maybe we'll add Boosty to the transfer list for now. Right back, Mathis up to a 74. No offers allowed on him. And then there's the other Mathis who will be returning from loan. You have Park at center back, who is also currently on loan. Tyler Wolf, who's up to a 71, so he'll be an immediate replacement for Daniel Henry. Streith I can't do anything with right now. Colin James, we've already set to go out on loan, and he will be. Daniel Henry will be leaving. Mandrakar James, plan on keeping. He's up to a 74. Ethan Wolf, of course, is going nowhere. And then at left back, we do have a little bit of a log jam. I think I'll probably try to loan out Walter Cameron. Not add to the transfer list. God damn you, menu lag. I think we'll see if we can set Walter Cameron to be loaned out. And we'll also be setting Gauthier to be loaned out heading into next season once he's back. Atiba, of course, is retiring. So, Josh Moore is a 61, Evan Morgan up to a 65, Brett Morgan up to a 64, Wayne Michaels, who we just signed. I didn't sign any defenders in that group, did I? I didn't. Let's take a look at Wayne Michaels, who's one of the new signings. 4-star, 3-star, low. Ugh. A little bit lazy there, Wayne, huh? But still, we'll loan you out. George Clark didn't have a good year. He just didn't. He needs to be better, but he is up to an 80. You see Mathis up by a decent amount. Russell Williams almost up to a 70. Evan White is a 70 and a bit of a beast. Scott Arfield down to a 69. Kay up to a 76. You have Brian Park who we are loaning out. Alex Cameron, who we're trying to loan out. Jonathan Osorio, gotta be honest, he wasn't great. Maybe we look to move on from him and let someone like Evan White take over for him sooner rather than later. Kenneth Mathis, 3-star, 4-star high-low work rates, which is pretty sweet. Try to loan him out. Alphonso Davies, not a great season. Not a great season for what he's capable of. Jordan Wood, 3-star, 1-star, high-low. Ugh. Don't know if we'll ever really be using him in the future. Jonathan David, 14 goals, 9 in the Bundesliga. You have Josh Haber, 3-star, 3-star, high-low, which is pretty sweet. He'll be out on loan. Victor Olsen, 10 appearances, only 1 goal in the Bundesliga. Up to a 73, though. Kyle Larin had 6 goals in 17 games. Can't really complain about that. And then Anthony Wilson, of course, will try to loan out. So that is the state of the team at the moment. Again, we make our return to the Bundesliga. We finish in 11th. Ultimately a disappointment, but at the beginning of the year we would have taken it. Dusseldorf and Nuremberg right back down to Bundesliga 2. And we'll see who survives that one-game relegation playoff. As Cooper will most likely, if not most definitely, be a 77 overall at the start of the next season. As all 3 of those guys, of course, accepted their contracts. Fairly straightforward. I'm excited, though. Like I said, it's tough to not view it as a disappointment, but overall, a very successful year for us at Kaiserslautern. We'll be back in the Bundesliga next season, and it's just a matter now of waiting to see if indeed that was a fluke last year. Just what are we going to be capable of? As we will sign Jordan White as well. Why not? Like I said, it kind of sucks, though, that we're at the point where it's like, money. How much money are we going to need? How many good Canadians are there going to be? Jordan White, 4-star, 4-star, low-high. That's a bit of a waste to have 4-star skill moves on someone who's not really an offensive threat, but it's typically how the game goes. He's not even good defensively, yet he has a high defensive work rate, which you gotta love. We do get a loan offer. Lazio in for Anthony Wilson, which again, I'll accept. That'll get him out of here for next year. Hopefully reset the morale, because he's not going to replace Alphonso Davies. And by the time we renegotiate a new contract, hopefully the team will be in higher standing. Alaves in for Jonathan Osorio. They're offering 4-4. He's worth 3-8. I'm going to accept that outright. Like I said, I think having someone like White replace him is already a decent way to go, as Osorio's approaching 30. And we'll see what we have here. 6.7 million for Boosty. 6.7 for Boosty, but he's worth 9, so absolutely not. Don't sell the player for less than 9. How about you give me 12.5? If we're selling Boosty, we're getting good value for him. It's not a whatever, let's just get rid of him type of move. If we're gonna sell Boosty, we're getting a decent amount back for him. We don't absolutely have to get rid of him. He might be the backup keeper next season. Might end up being unhappy about it, but so be it. As there was going to be something about the Champions League there. I imagine it would be the winner at this point. And it's Barcelona. So Liverpool have been upset, even though they've had a decent amount of European success. Wilson has officially been loaned out to Lazio. And as we get our monthly scouting reports, do we have anybody half decent? Wayne Cooper, come on down. Larry White, come on down. My God. And Alex Gagnon. Although we don't have the financial means. So we need that money to go through ASAP for selling people and the whatever the board assigns us. So Osorio is gone. Valencia are okay with paying the 12.5 for Boosty. So we'll see if Boosty wants to move on. Again, he had gotten us to this point. He was a big part of the reason as to why we're here. But there was going to come a time where we had to look to move on anyway. And I think after a bit of a meh season, you can say what you want about the team in front of him not scoring goals. But now might be the time to move on, because obviously Cooper's getting up there. His potential is extremely high. We're going to have to, I mean, we've already started to, of course, move on from some of these, names and faces from early on, and there it is, it's official. Alessandro Busti will be heading to Spain with Valencia. There will be a new era next episode, as it is now the Cooper era for this team. We move on from Morgan for one season. The next year, we move on from Busti. But I don't think there's any denying it's Cooper's time. He's the one that's going to be able to go above and beyond, as Walter Cameron might be heading to Valencia. And again, we got a good deal for both Osorio and Busti. We have the players from within built in to take over. I'm absolutely not selling Victor Olsen to Dortmund. Actually, I should have responded saying, yeah, give me 50 million and I'll think about it. But it's a good sign that they want him. So, the groups are in for the World Cup. Also, let's take a look really quickly at the other leagues before we see what the Canadian matchup's going to be. The DFB Pokal goes to Leverkusen over Bayern. The relegation match, Mainz survives. Augsburg will stay down in Bundesliga 2. The Champions League, in the Europa League, of course, these will take a little bit of time to load, which means a quick swig of the beverage. Good stuff. Barcelona, of course, beat Manchester United. And the Europa League. The Europa League, which I thought we had a chance to make it to already, but not quite. The Europa League the winner is... Boy, these take forever to load. The graphics look nice, but the information takes forever to load. Holy shit, please. Please. Arsenal beat Atletico Madrid. So, with that, oh cool, it took so long to load, I lost connection to EA servers. The FIFA World Cup, Group A, France, Denmark, Sweden, and Colombia. Group B, Belgium, Bulgaria, Mexico, and Uruguay. That's a tough matchup. Bulgaria's screwed. Group A, I mean, that's also a tough one. Group C, Germany, Hungary, New Zealand, and Paraguay. So Germany has it on easy street. Group D, Argentina, Poland, Austria, and India. I'd expect Argentina and Poland to go through. Group E, Portugal, Turkey, Greece, and the Ivory Coast. That's a toss-up between Turkey and the Ivory Coast. Group F is Spain, Slovenia, the United States, and Egypt. Slovenia is going to have it rough. Spain you'd expect to go through. Group G is England, Wales, Australia, and South Africa. So, I mean, England and Wales probably the favorites there. And Group H, Brazil, the Netherlands, Scotland, and Cameroon. We weren't selected. No Canada in the 2022 World Cup. Well, that sucks. We don't even have a World Cup to look forward to. It had me select the squad, and then we didn't even make it. I'll see you guys in the next one for the start of our second season in the Bundesliga. But overall, outside of the sale of Alessandro Busti, it was an episode to forget.